to address this issue, and this is the only way we can solve it, because you need to take the conversation down to the villages.
But would that, he mentioned some factors,
Yeah.
primarily poverty. He also talked about family, talked about insecurity. Do you think
peer pressure?
Peer pressure.
Yeah.
Do you think advocacy can solve these issues? Family, poverty, peer pressure, and all of that.
The beginning of all of this, from
Family.
our project, from what we've seen, is family. Dysfunctional family is actually the main cause of what we're experiencing.
Are you implying
drug
that
abuse
those
and others,
from wealthy families,
they might be dysfunctional? Being dysfunctional doesn't mean if you're rich or you're poor, you're average. You could have all the money in the world and then you're dysfunctional.
How do you define dysfunctional?
A family where conflicts, daily conflict or weekly conflict is the order of the day. A family where either the man or the woman is being abusive, is being abusive in the relationship. A family whereby a daughter or son cannot talk before the parents and they can't express their opinion, and it's always like conflict. Everything leads to conflict. It becomes so bad when they begin to hit themselves, and then the family is no longer working. And this is the kind of family that are being run in this country right now.
So since you started this advocacy, how would you say it's been? How would you rate it?
I see a good future. This is Lagos. We've started in Lagos, and Lagos is just a fraction of the entire country. And we did not go to all the schools in Lagos. We're working with few schools right now and few parents. With what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, I can tell you this is going to work, because making a change agent from each of the family is a good start in addressing this. Now, we can't go into people's home and correct what is already happening. You can't influence what is happening, but you can use someone or a child in that family to reach out to mom and dad as corrective measure. So we're raising change agents right from schools. Remember, you have the teachers, you have educators, you have churches, you have mosques, you have all of this has to come together and have a proper society where problems can be addressed.
Mr. Richard, the UN started observing this day on June the 26th since 1989. Would you say it's since the beginning of this celebration or this marking, this commemoration, would you say there's been a drop in drug abuse or there's been an increase?
I couldn't quantify whether it's been. Awareness is part of the problem. Part of the issue was I think it's a hidden issue most of the time. People who use drug use, there's a lot of stigmatisation, so they'll do it in private and things like that. Talking about it and giving people knowledge about any problem is the way to solve any problem. So that was obviously creating this awareness, this enlightenment gets the issue. So we're ventilating these issues in public rather than not talking about them at all, and looking at proper policy solutions, proper family-based solutions and things like that. I think information is a really important part. And
You've been in Nigeria for about 4 years?
Yeah.
Since you started this project here in Nigeria, what would you say has been the impact? Can you quantify or measure the impact?
There's a range of it's a balanced project, so we're doing a lot in relation to drug demand reduction, drug treatment services, enhancing quality drug treatment services in the country, and we're also building capacity in law enforcement responses, supply reduction. But just picking up what Ms. Michael said before, the sensitisation of law enforcement officers, politicians, judges has been one of our strongest achievements, I think. Giving them the information, the true information about drug use has really changed, has been a change agent, we think, in terms of people had not really stopped and contemplated the issue of drug use and all that sort of stuff, and thought a lot of well-meaning people were doing things that were really making the problem worse until they properly understood the issues of drug use and not to stigmatise drug use, that this punitive actions against drug use doesn't help. It actually drives to more drug use and things like that if you criminalise drug users. Like we've got a strong push to have a more humane approach, and in relation to people who use drugs, but really use the full force of the law on the people who are trafficking and importing drugs is what we want to see.
Now, Ms. Michael, a lot of focus has been turned towards drug use and misuse in Nigeria. And at the time that this thing was really on the front burner, we spoke about cough mixtures, which young people are just taking because it gave them a high. And we also looked at the issue of the free sale of drugs and medication, which to me are two different things. And we looked at drugs being sold on wheelbarrows, especially at motor parks.
Right.
Now, what kind of advocacy are you doing in that regard?
As of now, our focus, because it's a big market. As of now, we are focusing on children and youth in institutions, schools, and all of that.
Okay.
And then our next phase, our first phase is going to close on Tuesday. Apparently by Wednesday, we will roll out the other second phase, which will actually go into the motor park, into the market women, and see what could be done. But it's been designed, like we said earlier, without information, many people will perish in this place, in this space that we are. Because in a situation whereby someone tells you that the more I take this, the more I'm effective, you also need to come back and use health workers. I mean, like I told you, it's not going to be a project that we will implement alone. We're going to have health workers. We're going to have local government workers who understand their languages. Because if I go then speak English, they say, oh, you're coming from somewhere, you don't understand what we do here. So our advocacy would be to train the trainers, I mean, the local government people, the health workers, to understand why we're doing this, what the health hazards are, what you can do to avoid it. Because for every drug that is being used, there are other things that they can do. I mean, you're not sleeping well, and you feel that you want to remain active a whole day. Next day, you haven't slept for about 24 hours. You want to remain on the street. I mean, you need to go back and sleep. No medication is going to be given to that. So they need such information. It has to be disseminated as fast as possible, so that people that are actually engaged in this killing attitude, the killing menace, they must be aware that this is leading to their death in no time. Awareness, training, and working with the social workers.
I'm really interested to hear what the next phase is, because I want to know how you deal with what happens in the motor parks. The touts who are permanently high, the bus conductors, the bus drivers, and what you're going to say to those who sell those things. Where do they get them from? I mean, you see a wheelbarrow full of drugs and it's bursting, and you wonder, so where did all this come from? Does the Pharmacists Association of Nigeria know about this? Does NAFDAC know about this?
We'll ask that. You answer that question, we'll come back to this.
Aye.
Please don't worry.